Brother, congratulations on that. So when's the first time you ever went to Dodger Stadium?
I was a kid. We won baseball tickets in a raffle, and my brother took me to a game. This is like, God, about 30 some odd years ago.
Yeah. And so who'd you see? Do you remember that?
I couldn't. I want to say it was the Astros. the Astros.
So they were cheating, is what you're saying.
You know.
Is that wrong? Was that too quick?
Right out.
I'm just trying to...
Too soon? Too soon?
No. I've been in Los Angeles too much. Alex Bregman will never talk to me again. But so you saw the Astros 30 years ago in Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, at least 30 years ago. And since then, I've been to a bunch of different games. Got a chance to catch one of the World Series games against the Astros, ironically.
Have you done
I won't say whether or not they were cheating. It might have been that day. It might have not.
You just heard a loud bang.
It was I thought it was the sheriff's station next door. They got a gun range.
Oh, man. So have you ever done a first pitch? Have you ever done a first pitch?
I've done a couple of first pitches, which is cool, but I didn't try to go out there and make a point. Like, there's a lot of people that'll do the first pitch, and I guess they're trying to get discovered as they're trying to live out their high school fantasy of whatever.
Yeah.
And I just want to get it to the plate.
And so what happened? What did we do?
Oh, I loved it. I wasn't trying to, freaking throw my arm out. I'm 45, man. I'm not 25. I got nothing to prove. It went from A to B. I didn't want to be like 50 Cent and hit the the guy selling popcorn. I'm not trying to do that.
That's right. What was it? One guy one year, Chris? Somebody hit a photographer in the nuts or something like that.
The
in
mayor of
Boston,
Cincinnati or something. I feel like he had a terrible.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
No. And by the way, if you can aim and hit a photographer in the nuts, you got a whole different skill.
By the way, that's
whole different skill. I know Kanye wishes he had that skill.
It takes the ceremony out of the first pitch when you do
just
that.
Just a little bit.
It becomes a little bit more serious. So, how did a Dodger Stadium gig come to be? How did that first happen?
I think it's like anything. You start off at a certain place, and then once you outgrow that, then you go to whatever's next, and then you outgrow that, and you go to whatever's next. So originally starting off here in Los Angeles, doing shows in garages and next to swimming pools, performing outside of and patios, and just wherever I could do shows, because in the beginning I wasn't allowed to perform in comedy clubs. You had to be over 21. And I started when I was 20, so I had a year of just trying to find a gig, doing anywhere, doing anything for anyone. And I didn't say no. I didn't say no to anything. And just little by little, eventually got into clubs, then eventually got into theaters, then into arenas, and then it was, we did 2 Staples Centers when it was Staples Center.
Yes.
And so we're like, now that we're back from COVID, we have been out of the market for a while. So we said, let's try to do something that outdoes that last thing we did. And Netflix reached out and had this idea about Dodger Stadium. And I'm like, well, we had been talking about wanting to do something that's the next level, and why not? It's a good risk.
Right. And then who's the one who's called you up and said, hey, we got to do another one. We got to add another date.
I think that was me once we sold out. I'm like, yeah, we need a second one because there were still 2 months left.
So I was like, I guess who's the one who called you up and said you're sold out? Because I'd imagine, again, I know you're
That would be my manager. His name's Joe Malash. Okay. I'm going to give him a little shout out, Joe.
Okay.
Put your name out there so people start calling you.
But that'd be so cool for you, though. That had to be amazing, though. I can only imagine, look, I know you're incredibly successful, but I mean, when you say I want to go fill up the house in Dodger Stadium, just your first thought might have to be, okay, let's see how it goes. And then now you have to do 2. That's so cool. It's incredible.
It still hasn't registered, but I know it's going to be something that I'm never going to forget. It's the biggest thing I've ever done in my career, and the best part is that it's home. So if the show goes great, awesome, and if it sucks, then it's a short drive to my bed.
Well, the traffic is, and you can't leave early.
You can't leave early
to beat the traffic. You can't leave early to beat the traffic. I've got Gabriel Iglesias here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so. You're going to be doing Dodger Stadium. That is so cool. How did you just said you had to get, I guess you got carded when you were starting your career. How did you get started? When did you get going?
I started April 10th of 1997.
You remember the date?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
you just had your anniversary.
My anniversary was on Sunday. 25 years. So I think it's kind of cool. 25 years, usually 25 years equals retirement. And for me at this point, it equals the biggest thing I've ever done. So I still think I got some gas left in the tank to keep going a little bit more.
Right.
But yeah, I started back in 1997. There was no social media, which I think is cool because I know the world of being an entertainer with social media, and I remember what it was like without. And it's a double-edged sword.
Yes.
So I appreciate it and respect it for what it is, but I also know it's kind of scary.
Okay. And so you got, what was your first gig? Like, who were you?
My first gig.
Who'd you open for?
I didn't open for anybody. I was just trying to do shows wherever I could. My first gig was in Long Beach. I went up on stage. The MC for a show didn't show up one night, and I was pushed up on stage because a buddy of mine said, "You had always wanted to be a comedian.
Right.
Here's your chance. They need somebody. Go." And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And I went up there, and fortunately, it's fight or flight, and I flew. So
why did you always want to be a comedian? Who was this?
It was something that I just loved. I was a little kid watching Eddie Murphy Raw, which is probably not what you should be watching at 10. Yeah, a 10-year-old at home babysitting himself. I was a latchkey kid, which I think now is called abuse. I was home by myself watching Eddie Murphy Raw, and I was inspired to. I want that. I want to be able to go up on stage. I want to do voices and characters and have fun and have people just cheering, and I really loved everything about it. And so I got a chance to do a school talent show, and it went over well. I just did impressions, and basically I was imitating Eddie Murphy without the cuss words.
Right.
And it went over really well, and I knew that I had something there. And then, years later, I got to go up on stage and do it for real.
Yeah.
And I've never stopped.
Have you ever crossed paths with Eddie Murphy?
I've never crossed paths with Eddie Murphy in 25 years. We have a lot of, similar friends. You know
Sure.
what I mean? But I've never had an opportunity to meet him.
All right. I mean,
One day, Eddie, come on.
You never know. I mean, hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.